This video is going to showcase the CertainTeed Independence Shingle. This is the course that's in the middle here. The bottom part of the CertainTeed Independence, this is actually CertainTeed Hallmark. This was a organic mat base, and it was a similar construction of both size and layout. It had an upper laminate applique throughout the shingle. One of them is missing over here, but it had an upper laminate applique, much like the CertainTeed Independence had on it. So in case you were asked to repair a Hallmark, not only is this organic and nobody makes an organic mat anymore, similar concepts will apply as to what we're going to apply to the CertainTeed Independence. On the surface, this shingle looks like it may have similar size products, but that does not mean they're compatible products or that they're of like kind or quality overall. 36 inches wide, 12 inches in overall height, and then 5 inches of exposure. That's what you can actually see on the shingle. Most of your strip shingle 3-tabs on the market are going to have a similar size, but they're going to lack attributes, weight, quality, and other things that are going to result in visual and physical compatibility concerns between the two products. On the surface, yes, I'm using two different colors to really illustrate the difference between the two, but without the laminate applique, you're going to lose an overall dimensional look to this roof assembly by putting in this very flat strip shingle product. This is a strip shingle. It's one piece. There's nothing laminated on top. This is a laminated shingle. This has laminate appliques that run the full course of the shingle from top to bottom. They're very different in construction, weight, and overall composition. The sealant is the big technology difference that's going to be challenging to face if you attempt to repair. The sealant is in the front middle of most strip shingles that are 3-tabs on the market, and the sealant on the CertainTeed Independence is applied along the bottom of the back. It's different technology. Overall, these two products have very different win ratings, so mixing these together could be a concern. Additionally, there's no data from ASTM to support that these two products were ever tested together to say that this is a suitable repair product to fully bring this roof assembly back to what it was before any damage took place to it. So technology difference is going to be the sealant. Obviously, there's some visual compatibility, physical compatibility issues. This would not be a suitable repair product. And again, you have about a half-pound difference between these two shingles, so the overall thickness, weight, quality, everything is going to be different between the two products. Now, if you went to try and repair in with more of a modern-day dimensional or laminated shingle, you could look at what would it look like to put in the CertainTeed Landmark into the CertainTeed Independence Shingle. Well, let's take a look at those just from a size standpoint. 38 3/4 wide, 13 1/4 high, 5 5/8 exposure. So we're dealing with every single size component on this shingle is different than the size components on the CertainTeed Independence. If you tried to repair this without changing the size of the CertainTeed Landmark shingle, you would deal with one of two things: overexposure or underexposure. So if you let this fly to have a 5-inch exposure instead of 5 5/8, which is what's on the Landmark, a couple of courses of this, or putting it in like it is going to result in the sealant falling on the sawtooth or gate or tooth portion of the shingle. If you continue that up the course, this would continue to head that direction to where the sealant isn't hitting a full contact point across the shingle, which would then make this more susceptible to wind uplift, rip off, tear, creasing, because wind can get under this very quickly at that point. This would not be a reasonable way to repair this. If you took the other route, you're going to have a similar effect. You could try and maintain the 5 5/8 exposure of the Landmark, but then you're going to have a different exposure here. And then ultimately, as you continue to work your way up the course, again, the sealant's on the backside of this, you're going to have compatibility issues where it's not going to seal. The sealant's going to fall on the sawtooth portion. And again, it's going to create a issue with this being more susceptible to wind and wind uplift overall. So these two products are not compatible unless they were modified. However, you can't modify the products. To illustrate that, I've got an example already cut up here. If we were trying to get this 13 1/4 down to 12 inches, you would take 5/8 off both the top and the bottom. To take 5/8 off the bottom of this shingle would actually cut off some of the sealant that's on the back of the shingle that actually applies this shingle to the roof, and it would cut the lower laminating feature of the tooth or the gate of this shingle. You can see that this is sealed together with the laminate sealant in there. You would actually ruin the integrity of this, and this would be susceptible to wind uplift, break off, and this would compromise the shingle overall. If you took off the upper portion of it, you'd be getting into cutting off or removing the cellophane strip, which clearly says do not remove on the top portion of it. If you tried to do all of one side, if you took 1.25 inches off here, you'd be cutting the rest of the sealant off even further up the tooth, and you would no longer have a 5-inch exposure. You'd have a much smaller exposure. If you cut it all off the top side, you would then fall back into this concern that you cut everything off the top side, and now you're dealing with exposure issues to where the 5 5/8 exposure doesn't line up with the 5-inch exposure. So overall, this particular product was designed to be a designer shake look or slate look, really designed to be a shake look product. It's a laminated product, not a strip shingle, because it has randomly applied, usually 3 per shingle, upper laminate appliques. The laminate appliques go all the way up the shingle. This laminating feature stops in the center, doesn't go all the way up the shingle. This is a kind of a classic laminated or dimensional shingle, as they'll sometimes call it on the market. But it is not compatible. It's not visually compatible, and it's not physically compatible. You're going to have nailing pattern issues. You're going to have exposure issues. So no matter how you slice it, there just isn't a repair product on the market that is suitable for the CertainTeed Independence Shingle, because you have to downgrade to a lower quality strip shingle that is going to have compatibility issues, both visually and physically. There'll be compatibility issues, or you have to go to, again, not a designer, but a laminated shingle that is going to have compatibility issues, or would have to be modified. And there really isn't a need to have, or any intention from the manufacturers to have, a create your own shingle. Trimming does happen at edges and sometimes at flashings and end walls and things like that, but not for field repairs or field installation. That's not the intent of trimming shingles, and trimming shingles should not compromise the overall integrity of the shingle, making it more susceptible to failure in time, latent damage, leaks, blow off, or wind. So I hope this helps everybody better understand what it would look like hypothetically to repair into the CertainTeed Independence or the CertainTeed Hallmark product. However, these products just lack any compatible, like, kind, and quality repair products to actually attempt a suitable repair with.